She's so fine. Hell of a blows my mind. Hell of a lights my day.
What's good, guys? Today is New Year's Eve. I hope everyone has a safe and happy New Year's Eve. I hope everyone stays healthy going into the new year, particularly healthy at home until things change a bit. I wanted to do one more of my top videos. I told you in my previous one that I had several other ideas that I wanted to work on, but I didn't know if time would allow me to do that. So this was the other idea that I had, which is the top 5 conspiracy theories in the Kenneka Jenkins case. Some of us may not even want to acknowledge that it's a conspiracy theory. But let's go through these and try to work them out as best we can. And again, these are in no particular order, but we'll just start here. The first one would be Kenneka was being assaulted in the reflection on Irene's sunglasses while they were sitting in the Crown Plaza hotel room. All right. A lot of people bought into that. A lot of people wanted to see things in those glasses. It just wasn't there, guys. It wasn't there. Kenneka Jenkins was partying with friends on the ninth floor of the Crown Plaza Chicago O'Hare Hotel and Conference Center in Rosemont before she disappeared. After a vigorous search, friends were unable to find Kenneka and called her mother, Teresa Martin, to see if she returned home because they couldn't find her. Hours later, a Facebook Live showing Kenneka's last moments was discovered on a friend's page. Viewers believed they could hear what sounded like a woman's moans and screams in the background, and that it was Kenneka crying out for help. Kenneka could be seen in the reflection of her friend's sunglasses, but reports that she was being sexually assaulted proved to be unfounded. Her friend Irene Roberts opened up about the night Kenneka went missing in an hour-long interview. According to Irene, they were all leaving the hotel with Kenneka, who was drunk. When they left the room, she realized she left her phone and keys in the room. When they went back to find her belongings, Kenneka slipped away. This is just a still image of that video that Irene did with Zach TV, the late great Zach Stoner. And unfortunately, there just wasn't anything in those glasses really worth even speaking about. But people really did. I myself watched that. I couldn't tell you how many times. I stopped it at a million places. I tried to see it. I just could not see it, guys. Just couldn't see it. And it's because it wasn't there. So let's move on to the next conspiracy theory. And again, I'm not saying that you believing in a conspiracy theory is right or wrong. I believe in several of these myself. So, but on as far as this one goes, I don't see it. And trust me, I've looked. If you have some images that you're looking at and that you see something else in, that's great. I just don't see it. I can't work with the grainy, blurry. I just can't do those photos. Just can't do them. But moving on. The number 2 conspiracy theory is that it's a cover-up. Teresa Martin believes there was foul play involved in the death of her daughter. According to Martin, hotel employees wouldn't check security footage within the first hours Kenneka went missing. And when they released the crime scene photos of Kenneka's body to the public, the positioning of her body and disheveled clothing raised what her mother said was, quote, more questions than answers, end quote. The horrific images show Kenneka's shirt lifted up, her pants pulled down, and a shoe missing. She also had abrasions on her foot and one side of her body. Teresa Martin appeared on the Dr. Oz show, where Dr. Oz attempted to explain why Kenneka's clothing could have been affected by the hypothermia with the phenomenon called paradoxical undressing. According to Dr. Oz, someone suffering fatal hypothermia may feel a rush of heat when they attempt to undress themselves. However, he stated, quote, "More than likely it's not what happened, but it's a possibility," end quote. There has been no resolve why her clothing appeared that way. And I think that's kind of what did it for a lot of us, to see her in the shape she was in after having seen her on the surveillance footage and the way she looked previous to being found in the freezer. I think some of the hotel's behaviors during that time are also kind of sketchy. That's just putting that mildly. Even some of the police behaviors were sketchy during that time. So that would be my number 2, is that it's a cover-up. And I do believe in that. I do believe in this conspiracy theory. I'll go ahead and put that out there. But let me follow it up with, I believe it's a cover-up, but I'm not sure who the person is that's being covered up, if that makes sense to you. And I'd rather not elaborate on that at this time. This brings me to my 3rd conspiracy theory. That being, the hotel owner did all of this so that he could sell her organs on the black market, or have them sold on the black market. Guys, there is simply no truth in that. I went over the autopsy just a few days ago. You would have to believe that entire autopsy was just completely fabricated, which I have never heard of. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, that an autopsy couldn't be completely fabricated. I've just never seen it in all of the cases I've covered before. I've seen, radiologists read things wrong. I've seen misspellings. I've seen things like that. And even there in Cook County, we had someone in the office there at Cook County that missed a slew of things. And they had to go back and correct all of those autopsies. So, I've just never seen one completely fabricated. Alright? Now, if you've never seen this person's video, be glad. I don't even know if it still exists. But it was, man, it lit the world on fire because it was so full of nonsense. But people believed it. It says the video above and the theory alleges that Roberts was hired by the hotel owner to bait Jenkins to come to the hotel. So they believe it's a he, and it is a he. It's David Friedman, not the David Friedman that is associated with Donald Trump in any way. So that David Friedman, could murder her and harvest her organs. Let's back that up. Let's back that little theory up. Why Irene? I'll tell you why I think Irene in the beginning is because people were convinced, or had convinced themselves, that Irene worked at the Crowne Plaza when she did not work there. None of them worked there. Irene worked for Mariano's. They took a photo of her standing in a mirror taking a selfie in her uniform and placed her as a Crowne Plaza employee. I'm sorry, but that's how shit gets started, right there. It says this rumor stems from the fact that A, she was found in the freezer. B, the hotel was shady and given in giving Martin the surveillance video, and the cameras in front of the freezer that should show Jenkins going inside are apparently broken. And C, the local organ donation center is under investigation for harvesting. It says there's apparently an eyewitness who reveals everything in the following video. As you can see, that video is gone. That video was probably long since reported, as it should have been, because that's false information. It goes on to say the Biological Resource Center of Illinois is only 20 minutes away from the hotel, according to Google Maps, and it's currently being sued by the family of a 23-year-old man whose body was donated there for medical education and research. Against their son's wishes, his remains were mishandled and possibly used for profit. Now, organ trafficking is a real issue. In 2014, NBC Chicago did a story about the rise in people selling their kidneys on Craigslist for thousands of dollars. And in 2015, the FBI raided a lab and crematorium outside Chicago for illegal body part trading, which was connected to the Biological Resource Center in Rosemont. Though there is some possibility to this story, the owner of the hotel hasn't been named, and his or her connection to the BRC is not known. He does not have a connection to the BRC. I have researched that until I cannot research it anymore. David Friedman has no connection whatsoever to the BRC in Rosemont. So, aside from her being found in the freezer, none of that connects back to anything. Yes, organ trafficking is a real issue. It is. It's just not in this case. Not in this case, guys. This puts us up to number 4. We're going to move on. And that is, the surveillance footage was altered. This is a theory that I personally do believe. And I'll tell you what, I believed in it so much that I got behind Aunt Beezy when him by himself personally, took time out of his life and away from his family, and he organized a GoFundMe so that we could send 2 very small snippets of footage off to an independent video person. And I donated to that. I got behind it. I still support it today. Would do it again tomorrow. That's how much I believe that the footage was altered. Alright. Isn't algorithm a great thing? Look at that. Look at that advertisement in my Kenneka Jenkins video. A big fat bottle of Hennessy. Man, technology is amazing. Let's just start here with this gentleman's tweets. It says, a reminder, the camera over the entrance to the abandoned, not in use kitchen, where hashtag Kenneka Jenkins was found in, was not working. But for some reason, the one inside the kitchen was working. Think about that for a minute. Don't add up. It's odd that this camera was not recording hashtag Kenneka Jenkins going into this kitchen, the stairs on the left, freight elevator on the right. And that tweet's from August of 2018. After police released footage of Kenneka meandering through the halls, skeptics weren't satisfied with the conclusion. They believed the footage was edited to cover up her murder. Several videos popped up on YouTube suggesting someone else can be seen following Kenneka before the angles switch. Some even suggested the red lines on the footage prove there's another person in proximity. I don't think that it's that we're not satisfied with the conclusion so much as I think we're smarter than that. It's like the Rosemont bullies think we're idiots. And it gets under my skin something terrible. It's all throughout this case. It's like they think that they are smarter than everyone else, and it's almost made it comical. Not the death, but how they've treated some of the things that they've done in the Kenneka Jenkins case. It's a joke, an absolute joke. The footage, you can see points where there are glitches. Humongous D has pointed it out. Clark Avenue has pointed it out. John Q. I could sit here all day and tell you people that have pointed this out. Damn it, even Trey Gang has pointed it out. Something is wrong with that footage. Now, am I saying that what happened to Kenneka was filmed and it was erased off of that footage? I'm not saying that. But I believe there is something on that footage that was tampered with. I'll just leave it at that. I believe in this theory, obviously. I wouldn't have gotten behind the project set up by Amp Easy. And I still believe it today. So, that's going to lead me to the final conspiracy theory. So my number 5 is that someone followed her into that freezer. Several people believe in this theory. I may have at one point. Let's look into this. Public demand for footage of Kenneka Jenkins before her death reached a climax after Chicago activist Andrew Holmes held a press conference claiming he saw footage of Kenneka physically walking into the freezer and not coming out. Quote, the important part of this we always wondered and wanted to know. Did anybody pull her down there? Did anybody force her down there? Was anybody on the other side in the room when she got down there? And the answer to that is no, end quote. Holmes said at a press conference. Detectives released the footage to the public afterwards, but it didn't show Kenneka walking in the freezer like Holmes suggested. What the surveillance did show was Kenneka drunkenly stumbling around the halls of the hotel. The video ends with the intoxicated teen walking into a deserted kitchen area, but not into the freezer, which added to theories detectives were covering up a murder. I personally believe that anytime you are alleging that someone is doing something and you don't have footage to back that up, you're going to have a conspiracy theory. That is all there is to it. It's common sense. They're alleging she walked into the freezer. She was found in the freezer, but there's no footage showing her going inside that freezer. I think that's what makes the whole thing sketchy. And then you put that with these other conspiracy theories, with the way she was found in the freezer. Yeah, you're going to have conspiracy theories. I bought into this theory in the beginning. But then, about halfway through, I kind of changed my tune. And I didn't really realize how many people believed in this same theory that I believed in until maybe a couple of months ago, maybe 2 months ago, when I was on a video call with a couple of other YouTube content creators. And it made me feel a little bit better because I didn't want to say what I believed in. But I don't believe she ever made it to that freezer. That's me personally. I don't believe that. So, this is the last conspiracy theory that I'll cover. There are multitudes of them. Multitudes. But these are just some of the more, I don't want to say popular, but some of the more, you hear about these the most, I'll say that. You hear about these the most. And I mean, in my comments, I'll hear things on my video comments. about a lot of these conspiracy theories. So I welcome all comments on my channel. I'm not saying I don't believe in any of these things, but I just wanted to do a video, number one, as another top video. Number two, to remind some of us that these are conspiracy theories. Because sometimes I think we forget that. So I'm going to end the video on that note, and I hope you guys all have a great New Year's Eve. Please stay safe. I hope everybody has a great new year. 2021 has got to be better than 2020. Thanks, guys.